Let's begin. So today is Monday, October 13. Markets opened a couple hours ago, and let's hop into the full weekly breakdown. So starting on Bitcoin, weekly time frame is currently bullish. Daily time frame is also currently bullish. We created a higher high above this structure. Had a strong pullback. We're now underneath the EMA. And the 4 hour time frame is currently bearish. So we have two bullish time frames, one bearish time frame. Now, what I'm looking at is the fact that the daily time frame has broken underneath the daily EMA, and the 4 hour time frame has also broken underneath the 4 hour EMA. And this is the first time we are retesting that 4 hour EMA, and the first time we're retesting the daily EMA. So what I did is I marked out an area of interest on the daily time frame, which we are currently very, very close to. If price can make it up there and react from it, we could take sells into this area, which is a weekly area of interest. We have one, two, three structure points. As you can see, there's also a long wick from last week. So what I think happened is we broke above these highs. We swept liquidity. People basically got excited, got very excited that price was pumping. They didn't want to miss out. So they ended up clicking buy, 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 buy. And price is just going to sweep all of them out of the market, probably fill in a bunch of orders down here, react from the EMA, and then eventually push higher, similar to the way it did over here. So we swept liquidity at the very top right here. People got excited, and then price basically dumped until we retested previous structure and we retested the EMA, and then price continued to go higher. So it's the same thing. Um, USD or US 30, sorry. US 30, well, actually, let's start on the S&P. S&P, then NASDAQ, then US 30. So S&P, weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bearish. We had an extremely strong selling day, so the daily time frame shifted. And the 4 hour time frame is also bearish. We are underneath the EMA here, underneath these previous structures. Daily time frame is nearing the EMA, so we'll probably see a reaction during session, potentially closing today or tomorrow as bullish days. But I do think we'll retest these previous structures and then sell below the EMA. It's not looking good. It's not looking good for S&P. It's not looking good for NASDAQ and US 30. They're all looking like they're going to sell off pretty heavily this next week. Bearish engulfing weekly candle. Yes, the weekly time frame is bullish, but same thing as S&P. Daily time frame went bearish, and the 4 hour time frame also went bearish. You can see how price doesn't really do this very often. Usually likes to stay above the 4 hour EMA. When it does break underneath, it does not, like, it just breaks back above and continues going higher. This is not the same case. I mean, this looks more like this, where we broke underneath and it looks like we're going to stay underneath for quite a while. Um, that's what I'm expecting. So we are already retesting previous structure here on the 4 hour time frame. Probably going to have a nice push upwards when session starts in New York session. If price is still trading up here, it could all be all the way down here by the time session starts, but I do expect it to retest the 4 hour EMA the way it does oh so often and then sell off afterwards. A good safe place to take profit would be this previous structure because it's definitely going to break through if it decides to sell. And same thing on US 30, weekly time frame, bearish engulfing. In fact, you guys can notice that price opened with no wick, and it does not do that very often on US 30 and NASDAQ. We can go through literally every single week, even if it's a tiny little wick like this, there's almost always a wick in price. So that's why I'm saying it's almost guaranteed that price will revisit this area Even if we're going to be bullish, if Trump goes and says something and makes the market go bullish again, it's probably not going to happen until we sweep this low. Um, so that's kind of what I expect to happen. Daily time frame looks very similar to the other two. We have a daily area of interest. We might retest the daily area of interest and sell. What also happens to be at the daily area of interest is the 4-hour EMA. So a nice push up, reaction from this, all of this structure, and then also the EMA in order to push price lower. Same thing as NASDAQ and S&P. Gold. Gold, gold, gold. Weekly time frame, very bullish. I mean, we have not revisited a single structure since August. Daily time frame, same thing. Very bullish, created a higher high right here, had a quick pullback, and is continuing up. It looks very, very similar to what it's done in the past, where it just kind of sells off into the EMA and then continues higher, sells off, continues higher, sells off, continues higher. There's literally no end in sight. Gold is probably the most bullish thing that I've ever seen. And it's due to the fact that there are so many factors contributing to its bullish market structure, such as wars, Trump, Trump more, and more wars. You know, it's just those things in general. They create uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds fear, and fear means that people are going to take their money and put it where it's the safest. That happens to be gold. It always has been. Next is the dollar index. So weekly time frame, very, very bearish. We just broke under structure over here. It's a weekly structure point, a weekly area of interest. We have 1, 2, 3 structure points, lots of wicks. Daily time frame is currently bullish. So weekly's bearish, daily's bullish, and 4-hour is also bullish. Now, this is what I'm looking at. We just retested the weekly, or the, what is it, weekly? Yeah, the weekly area of interest on the 4-hour time frame and had a very, very strong reaction to the downside. Now, we are still above the EMA and we're also still bullish. My AirPods stopped working. Anyways, we're also bullish and we're above the EMA. If price can start to break underneath the EMA and give us a little pullback like this, same way I marked it out right here, then that would probably be enough cause for price to start or continue to sell with the weekly time frame. And it would also give us a similar market structure as right here, where we react from the EMA. We have a small pullback and then we continue to sell. I don't know how long we're going to sell, probably into the daily EMA, potentially even further down if we manage to break through and under that EMA. Excuse me, CAD JPY. CAD JPY weekly time frame is very bullish. Daily time frame also very bullish. We opened last week with no wick at the bottom. We kind of just pushed up. That's why I say that it's not guaranteed that price will always revisit those wickless areas, but on NASDAQ, I would say it's almost a guarantee. Other pairs, it's less. But yeah, we opened and pushed directly up. We are now retesting previous structure. But here's the thing. So there's two options that I'm seeing. Okay. Option number one, we have another wickless, tradeless week on these JPY pairs where price opens, goes directly up. We have no place to enter. Or two, price decides to actually create a wick and actually ends up closing bearish on the weekly time frame in order to give next week the momentum it needs to push up. And you see this quite often. Let me show you guys a situation similar to this one. Here we go. So in areas of strong reaction, oops, such as right here and such as right here, what do you see? Well, you see a bullish engulfing or a bearish engulfing candle. This is on the weekly time frame. After that, you see a strong pullback where the following week actually closes in the opposite direction. So this could be very misleading, but you actually get the continuation to the upside the following week. Same thing here, bearish engulfing, pullback week, and then continuation, continuation, continuation. That's kind of what I think is going to happen. JPY, unless we're going to get something like this, JPY likes to have pullbacks. So that's what I think might happen. Daily time frame will remain bullish even if we pull back to this area of interest, even if we pull back into previous structures, and even if we pull back into the EMA, which I think is exactly what's going to happen. 4-hour time frame is currently bearish, and we are currently underneath the 2-hour and the 1-hour EMAs. Okay, so what I think is going to happen is we're going to retest, and we kind of already have previous structure and area of interest, and then sell into this area down here. After that, I mean, anything can happen. Like I said, I expect price to kind of pause right here and then have a push up. That would be best case scenario. But what could happen is we could just wick down and then have that bullish week that we were going to have all along. But either way, I think price will revisit this area at least one more time before we get that continuation to the upside. Okay. I'm not going to be trading this. I don't want to be counter trend trading. And I also don't want to sit here and wait forever. But we will take another look at the JPY pairs at the end since they're all right there. All right, NZD, USD. Weekly time frame's bearish. We're underneath the weekly EMA. Daily time frame is bearish. We caught this nice trade last week, and then price ended up giving us 2 other entries for the same trade. I broke this down already. So this was where we exited. Price pulled back almost to entry, and then we sold. You could have either entered up here, which would have been risky, but it is underneath the EMA, so it was pretty clean. Or you could have entered here after the initial reaction to the downside, which confirmed the move was going to happen. So what do we expect is going to happen now? Well, the weekly time frame is bearish. What I would like to see, or the daily time frame is bearish and the weekly time frame is bearish. But what I would like to see is price revisit at previous structure. So previous structure here would be at this daily area of interest where we have 1, 2, 3, 4 structures. A nice pullback into this weekly or daily area of interest could give us a push to the downside. Now, something that we have to be aware of is the fact that price does create equal structures in this area quite often. We could actually get a push up into the EMA and then get a continuation to the downside. So just make sure to properly wait for proper confirmation and then enter the trade whenever price is right. So that would be not after the initial push, but after the secondary push like we saw earlier, because what will happen is the 4-hour time frame will go bullish when we get this pullback. Yeah, there is quite a bit of room here, but the good news is that price has been trading downwards quite aggressively after we do get the beginning of these pushes to the downside. So we should pretty easily get a continuation to the downside. Weekly time frame has no wick right now, so we will at least create one of those. So we're going to be looking for sells on that pair. Next, NZD CAD, almost the same thing. Weekly time frame closes a bearish engulfing. Daily time frame is also bearish. We have a daily area of interest right here. Okay. 4-hour time frame is currently bearish. Now, what I would like to see, pull back into the area of interest, into the EMA, or potentially just this previous structure right here, which is a 4-hour area of interest as well. So maybe that would be enough for that to happen. before we get the continuation to the downside. Now, the question is, where would you sell to? I would probably say weekly structure right here. That would be a pretty safe profit target for price. GBP AUD. Sorry, guys, it's quite early. GBP AUD weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame had a very, very strong buy. Now, this kind of confirms the continuation on the weekly time frame. So I think we're done pulling back. We just closed with a nice reaction off the EMA. Price likes to react off this EMA. Had a bullish engulfing. Now we're having a pullback. Pullback probably into previous structure and an area of interest on the daily time frame. So I do believe that we might get a little bit more of a pullback, maybe into the EMA, into some of these lower structures, or we might just be done right there. This might be our pullback. Price closes with a doji and then an engulfing candle in the next, 5 hours. And then maybe price will continue to the upside. I'd keep an eye on what the lower time frames are doing, such as the 30-minute and the 1 hour. So the 1 hour is currently bullish from here to here, so that's not going to give you too much information. But the 30-minute is right here, currently bearish. We had a higher high, shift the structure, lower low. Looks like we actually have a reaction from this EMA right now. We have a bullish engulfing candle. So if you were going to enter right now, your stop loss would probably be below the area of interest, and then you get a nice 1 to 2 like that. Or you can wait for price to create the lower low, shift the structure, pull back, engulfing, and then you can enter with a little bit of a tighter stop loss, like so. And then you get your basically same thing, 1 to 2, 1 to 2.5, just targeting the high. I think that price is going to go a lot higher than that high. I think it's actually going to go to, well, obviously we're very bullish on all time frames. So at the very minimum, this structure point, but eventually even this one right there. So buys on GBP USD or GBP AUD. Euro AUD weekly time frame, bullish daily time frame. Same thing as GBP AUD. I'm not even going to break this one down. Looks exactly the same. You have your area of interest, where price is currently sitting, retesting previous structure right here, retesting EMA. All we have to get is potentially, honestly, in a perfect world, I'm talking in a perfect world, what's going to happen is price closes like this on this daily candle. Then we get a doji the next day, and then an engulfing the following day. And that's when you enter the trade. Because what could happen right now is realistically price could close like this, then the next day we get another bearish candle, and next thing you know, the daily time frame shifts bearish because you got 3 bearish candles in a row. Very unlikely in my eyes, but anything can happen in these markets, right? Anyways, same thing with the 4 hour, I guess. You have your bearish candle, then you have your doji, and then you get your engulfing. Same thing I was saying on the daily time frame applies to the 4 hour time frame as well. Anyways, looking for buys on that pair. GBP NZD. GBP NZD weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bullish. Looks like we just retested this previous structure. And 4 hour time frame is also bullish. So what do we think is going to happen? Well, what I think is going to happen is we're going to retest previous structure, which we have already done. preferably we would come all the way down to here and retest these structures because that's going to be a lot closer to the EMA. You're going to be retesting this structure, which has had a strong move to the downside, strong move to the downside, move to the upside. So this area of interest here is a lot better than the area of interest up here. Even though this is the previous structure, this is also a previous structure right here. So I would say wait for price to come all the way down to here. But if you do get a reaction from where we are, just know that there is technically also a small 4-hour area of interest right here as well. So you have 1, 2, 3 structures. There's not much of a daily area of interest other than the one we just created. There's 1, 2, 3 structures. If price came all the way down to here, that would be nice, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I think that with the recent tweets that have been released, I think we're just going to see a lot more continuation in whichever direction Friday pushed the markets. Euro CHF, weekly time frame bearish, daily time frame bearish, retested previous structure and sold. Okay, Euro CHF. What it's doing now is it is retesting this structure right here, or sorry, it just retested all of these candles and this body right here. This whole area has had a lot of like prices revisited this one area so many times. But what you'll notice is just like some of these other pairs, we opened with no wick. We just went directly up. So that's kind of scary. But you'll notice that we're still trading with the trend. Daily time frame is bearish, 4-hour time frame is bearish, lower low. We're creating the lower high at previous structure, at EMA, at area of interest. So we should just get a continuation to the downside. Technically, we already revisited this, so price could close right here and then just sell off immediately since we did already come back to both this structure and this area of interest. And you can see on the 1-hour time frame, 1 hour had a lower low, lower high, lower low, shift the structure, bullish, higher high. Now, if price does decide to sell and we get a nice selling candle, say for sake of this example, kind of like not a great example, but kind of like this. So we're say this is the EMA, comes up and over, we get a selling candle and then a pullback. We had the shift to structure, which we didn't have on here, but we had the pullback to create the lower high on the 1 hour, and then we sold on the 1 hour as well. So that's what I would wait for. I'd wait for the lower low to be created, then the lower high, and then the continuation to the downside. And then for profit target, I would just target this low right here. And if price does break through, then this would be the next target right there. You just have to be aware of the fact that there have been very, very many strong reactions from this area. Looks like we actually already broke through, but that could just be a false break, and we could see buyers coming back into this market and pushing it up. Weekly time frame, bullish on AUD CAD. Daily time frame, bearish. We have just retested the daily EMA. 4-hour time frame, also bearish. Now you'll notice that There, we were retesting the EMA. Here, we're very, very far away from it, and we're also underneath it. Um, on top of all of that, we just created a double top, and we are retesting the neckline, which is this entire area right here. So from this structure point to this structure point can be considered an area, a neckline, or you could just tighten it up and call it this structure point to this structure point. Either way, price could give us a reaction to the downside from here. Weekly time frame is bullish, but the daily time frame and the 4-hour time frame are bearish. So if you want to take buys, you can do so, but be aware of the fact that you're going to be running into this EMA, you're going to run into this previous structure. So there's a good chance that price will push up to here and then sell back down into that area, potentially even breaking through the daily EMA. And then when that happens, what we would expect is the same thing, just break underneath, retest previous structure, double top, and then sell. Now, for this trade in particular, I would just say price might come back into the structure, EMA, and then push down here. Euro NZD weekly time frame, bullish. Daily time frame, bullish. 4-hour time frame, also bullish. What we have here is an area of interest. We have a previous structure right here. We also have a previous structure and kind of a 4-hour area of interest right here as well. So if price breaks through here, we're pushing into the EMA, into this structure. If not, then we're just going to push up immediately from where we are. Ideally, we would get a bearish candle, another bearish candle, doji, and then we get our push to the upside. That would force us to be a little bit more patient and also give us a better trade opportunity. As of right now, I wouldn't enter this, even though it does look nice. What could happen is we could have created a double bottom here, then price pushes up, quick pullback into the structure, and then has a continuation really, really quickly. I'm probably not trading today, so I'm going to let the markets kind of give me a little bit more information, but I'm doing this breakdown for you guys regardless, and also to kind of update myself as to how the markets moved overnight. So here, looking for buys. Euro GBP weekly time frame, bullish. Daily time frame, bearish. Pushed up, retested EMA, and is now having a push to the upside. 4-hour time frame, bullish. So this one's a little bit conflicting. On one hand, there is this wick right here that could use a filling. And on another hand, this EMA does so much work for this pair. It's crazy, at least in the last, since August. So since August, price has very, very nicely trended upwards off of this EMA. Now, where are we right now in terms of price action? We're right here. So we've reacted from the EMA or we're right here. And right now we are either going to retest the EMA and push up, which is probably very, very likely, where price pushes into the EMA, we have a pullback, then we retest it, and then we push up. Here we push into it, we don't really retest it, but here we push in, push up, retest, and then finally have the reaction to the upside. So one of two things you could do: wait for price to come down to here, create a double bottom, and then go up. I'm not a huge fan of how we broke above and retested this 4-hour EMA. I would prefer if it looked more like this, where we actually broke, retested, were nicely above. Right now, it kind of looks like There's not even a good example of it. It just doesn't look fantastic. It looks like price could just break right back underneath um, without much struggle. Kind of like this, where we're above, just barely above, and then all it could take is one break underneath and then retest, and then you could probably take sells, you know? You could probably sell right back into this EMA here. I'm trying to see if there are any good areas of interest for us to use, but there's really nothing. Yeah, the only thing that I'm thinking right now is the fact that we could have just created a double top right here. But here we have a shoulder, head, inverted shoulder, retest the neckline, and then push up. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of this one. Overall, um, weekly time frame is bullish, so that's what we'll go with, I guess. Daily time frame is bearish. 4 hour time frame is bullish. We'll go with buys for now. Although I wouldn't particularly be interested myself. Weekly time frame bearish, daily time frame bearish, 4 hour time frame is also bearish retest of the double bottom or double top neckline and potential continuation to the downside. We seem to be underneath most of the EMAs here. I'm not a huge fan of price action, so I'm honestly just not interested in this one. Okay, well, it's difficult to say, but I do think it's going to continue to sell. Just the fact that we're at this area of reversal, that concerns me a little bit. Overall, we are selling, so we're going to be looking for sells there. What I would look for is I would look for a break and then retest to sell. That would be the safest bet for us to take. But right now, we are technically making the lower high to create the next lower low. USD CAD weekly time frame, bullish. Daily time frame, bullish. And 4 hour time frame, took an unfortunate loss and then was unable to enter the trade. Um, Bullish. Right now, we are pulling back to potentially previous structure before having that push to the upside. Um, I would just wait for price to get here before we can continue to buy. There's really nothing for us to do until price gets there. Buys. GBP USD weekly time frame, bearish. Weekly time frame, bearish. Daily time frame, nice reaction candle, but we're bearish, and 4 hour time frame is bullish. So this is one of those situations that you kind of have to bob and weave a little bit. I'm expecting buys to happen. Okay. I'm expecting buys to happen because I think we're in a situation like this where I guess there's no good example here. Okay. Look at this pattern right here. And then look at this pattern right here. What do you notice? Same thing. Price pushed up, created a lower low. Here it had a shift of structure to the upside and then pulled back and then had reaction from the EMA. We're either about to have the push up or we're about to create the doji that gives us the push up, which both, like either one is a good option. Preferably the doji, because if we can get a lower low on the daily, then we can create a easier shift of structure instead of having to break above this area. And then we just kind of do this, okay? But overall, I'm expecting buys off of this EMA. I think price is actually going to do that. Maybe not today or tomorrow, but probably this week or next. So that's what we're going to wait for. We're going to wait for price to create that lower low and then have the shift of structure to buy. Or if we're feeling really risky, which you technically could, the 4 hour already shifted bullish. I'm not sure how you would trade that because your stop loss would be huge. What I would potentially do is pick a time frame where price reacts from the EMA very, very nicely, which would looks to be the 1 hour or 2 hour time frame. And then you wait for the break above, retest engulfing. And then if you're lucky, you can catch a trade to the downside like this with a tighter stop loss because price doesn't come back up to touch it because it's above the EMA. So that could be something we look at. Break above engulfing. Go break above, retest engulfing, and then you kind of take this trade right here when we're all the way above the EMA. And then price kind of just continues with that price action like so. Okay, so those are two options for you. Like I said, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to hope for a lower low on the daily time frame, but some part of me thinks that's not going to happen. I think we might just continue immediately from where we are. Euro USD weekly time frame. Created a, or we have, didn't create, we have a weekly bullish structure. Daily time frame is bearish, not also bearish, and 4 hour time frame is bullish. So GBP USD and Euro USD move very, very similarly. Their structures are almost identical. Now, there are a few differences here, and we might be able to use those to our advantage. Oh, hopefully my Wi-Fi didn't go out. Nope, it didn't. Okay. So what we notice here is that we're underneath the EMA on both the 4 hour time frames, which is good. But the difference here is it looks like price has already done this before. It looks like we have already been in this situation where price sold under the EMA and then kind of broke back above and bought. So that's something we could use. If price does break above here, we don't have to wait for it to go bullish. You can see here we were bearish, but we were above the EMA and we could still take buys. Similar to here, if we get above the EMA on Euro USD, then we can take trades on GBP USD because they're going to move the same way. And look at how much cleaner this looks than this. Yeah, I guess they're both all right. This is just really, really choppy up in here. Anyways, going to be looking for buys on both of those. Even though the weekly time frame there is bearish, the weekly time frame here is bullish and the daily time frame is bearish. So all we're waiting for here is technically the 4 hour to go bullish. Here we have two bearish time frames. The 4 hour is the only one that is bullish, but it doesn't matter because we can kind of coordinate based off of what Euro USD is doing. All right, USD CHF, bearish on the weekly. Daily time frame is bullish. Now I'm already smelling something like this. Okay. 4-hour time frame is bearish. So we already shifted bearish on the 4-hour. Realistically, I mean, look at how price action looks. We bought very aggressively, bought very aggressively. Now we're now we're like with it. We're probably going to do the same thing. We're probably going to go up and down and up and down and up and down and up and down, and eventually we'll be all the way under the EMA. And notice how many trades I took here. I could not take a single trade that was a winning trade within this area because of how messy it was. However, had I just waited for something like this, it would have been so much easier to trade. So that's what we're going to wait for. We're just going to wait for a nice, simple, easy trade. We're not going to fight the markets. We're just going to let the markets come to us. Okay, so I expect the same thing, but we'll have to be a little bit more patient. Daily time frame is above the EMA and it is bullish. Here it was also bullish. We were still able to take nice sells. But yeah, we're just going to have to wait that one out. It does make sense that we would have a continuation to the downside. We just probably going to have to be very, very patient for that to happen. Okay, so we have like an area of interest here where I used this structure point and this structure point to kind of frame out an area in the market that has had quite a few reactions and rejections from. Now, ideally, what we'd wait for, price would go up, then we'd break underneath, then we would retest, and then we would sell. So that's just what I'm going to wait for. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But yeah, as you can see here as well, we kind of were above this area for a while, and then finally we broke underneath, and then we sold. So we're going to be above this area for a little while, but as soon as we can break underneath properly under the EMA, under the area of interest, then we can start to take sells again. CAD CHF. CAD CHF weekly time frame is bearish. Daily time frame is bullish. You can already see the sellers are back in the market. And the 4-hour time frame is also bearish. We are underneath this area of interest where we have 1, 2, 3 structure points already. Price came back, retested that, retested EMA. I mean, it's not terrible to sell. Only issue is where you're selling to. There's literally no price action that goes back that far. But yeah, I think we're in an area for selling to happen. I'm just not too interested in selling this pair in particular. AUD NZD weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bullish. 4-hour time frame is bearish. Okay, so what do you notice on this pair? I notice how nicely we stay above this EMA and how nicely we stay below it, right? What are we doing right now? It looks like we're breaking underneath this EMA. Now, granted, there are times in the past where price does break underneath for a little while and then goes back above, but this looks a little bit different. This looks like we actually broke through and now we are retesting that. Not only are we retesting that, but we are retesting the double top, okay, or the triple top, whatever you want to call it. I call this one the double top, and then this is the neckline. So we're retesting the neckline right now, which is that wick right there. Not only do we have a double top on the 4-hour, but we are creating a double top on the daily. So if you want to be safe, which I would recommend you do, all you have to wait for is break underneath, retest of this area, and then you can sell further down. Or if you're feeling a little bit riskier, which wouldn't really change much because you're trading against the trend either way, Yeah, you're trading against a very, very strong trend. But the thing is that you kind of already reached this area. Like you already reached this high, and this high brought in a lot of sellers. So, who am I? Who am I to make the rules? I just follow them. There's a double top, and right now we are, well, technically, we have a double bottom and a double top. So the safest bet, like I said, would be to wait for a break and retest to sell into at least the EMA, at most this area of interest. But if you're feeling risky, you could potentially take sells. I mean, you already have a bearish engulfing here. 15-minute shift of structure already happened. I would just wait for some additional confirmation because there's a chance that price just continues to trend up and up and up and up. And next thing you know, the 4 hour time frame is bullish again. But yeah, I'm going to be looking for sells. AUD USD. Weekly time frame is bearish. Very, very nice bearish engulfing candle. Daily time frame, bearish under the EMA. 4 hour time frame. Damn it. 4 hour time frame, bearish. So we have this little previous structure right here, kind of an area of interest on the 4 hour. You have one, two, three structures. Daily time frame doesn't really like that. But we have enough daily structure here to create a daily area of interest. So why not do that? Here we go. One, two, three structures right there, four right there. We've technically just tapped into it. I would prefer more of a pullback, but it is what it is. This kind of looks like, no, it's not that. Anyways, yeah, so we broke through, we're retesting, and we should see some sells. GBP CAD. GBP CAD weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bullish. Retested the EMA, bullish engulfing, pretty fantastic. And 4 hour time frame is also bullish. Now, what do we think is going to happen? For now, for now, I would say wait for price to break back above this 4 hour EMA and then retest and then engulf, or at least give you some kind of bullish market structure. For some reason, I feel like price might revisit this area down here. Um, just on the weekly time frame, this wick looks kind of bland. It looks empty. It looks like it needs to get filled in. Um, price doesn't really leave those type of wicks around, you know. Remember, we have a very, very strong area right here that hasn't gotten broken through in a long time, since March. Okay. So there's a chance that price kind of fights back and breaks back underneath this EMA. Now, if that does happen, it'll probably happen after a daily doji candle, because then the doji candle will signify that the sellers have exhausted and the buyers are coming in. And then we might sell for a day or two, kind of like we did right here. And then the buyers might kick back in and take back over. So we'll see what happens with that. As of right now, I'm not too interested in it. If you want to buy above the EMA. If you want to sell after proper confirmation. And you can only really sell. I mean, you can't even sell like that. Yeah, you don't have much room. You're kind of stuck in a range right now. If you're a scalper though, that would be pretty fantastic for you. GBP CAD, I'm not going to even mess with that. Euro CAD. Who said I wasn't going to mess with it? Right, technically, the buyers would be in control here because the daily time frame is bullish. So if we were going to be trading, we'd be trading buys, but we can't trade anything right now. Sun's coming up. Weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bearish. So GBP CAD and Euro CAD are going to be trading very, very similarly, just like GBP USD and Euro USD. So just the same way we can use those to kind of educate us on what decision to make, we can do the same thing over here. So here we had the daily is bullish, but here the daily is bearish. Okay, so that actually changes a few things for us because now there's a good chance that this will close as a doji and then that we might actually get sellers to come back into this market because we are retesting previous structure and also retesting a like, daily area of interest kind of right here. Okay. Weekly is bullish, daily is bearish, and 4 hour is bullish. So still two time frames in sync to buy, but that daily time frame is bearish here. If we were going to buy, I would say buy above this area, above the EMA, because then kind of like this, where we broke above, we retested, and we just continued to buy. That's what we're looking for. If not, then we might get something like this, where we went bullish, but only into the EMA, and then we sold. That's exactly what I was trying to explain for this one, where we went here, it doesn't even do it. It doesn't go bullish, but here it did. So this is a perfect example of why we have to be careful. As you can see, we created the double bottom right there. And then as soon as that happened, price broke back above. Never really even retested. It just kind of took off. So as soon as we broke above EMA, retested, engulfed. I guess here it engulfed a little bit, but this is more bullish market structure. This seems more like a huge push up and then a quick reversal. So maybe you would have taken the trade twice, right? So you would have taken a loss here, and then you would have taken a very, very nice win right afterwards. AUD-CHF. AUD-CHF, bearish weekly time frame, daily time frame, bearish under the EMA, 4 hour time frame, bearish under the EMA. Looking for a daily area of interest and a previous structure, which happens to be right here. So we have quite a nice area right here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 structure points. There's a ton. I mean, we're basically in the area we need to be in to sell. Now, if you're unsure, then all you got to wait for is the sell, then the pullback, and then a confirmation on the pullback in order to catch the rest of the sell. NZD-CHF, same thing. Weekly time frame, bearish. Daily time frame, bearish. Daily time frame did what? Pulled back into previous structure perfectly. 4 hour time frame. Area of interest right here, previous structure, price retested both to sell. Bearish. All right, now let's get into the JPY pairs. JPY, JPY. Weekly time frame, bullish. Daily time frame, bullish. 4 hour time frame, bearish. So we either wait for a double bottom and then we go up, or You could maybe take the trade as is right now. I wouldn't recommend it. Looks like the 30-minute EMA and the 1 hour EMA may hold price down. So what I would wait for is that break and retest above the EMA, the break and retest above the EMA, the break and retest above the EMA. So whenever we're below, just wait for the break and retest above, and then we should be fine to continue to buy. Until then, this EMA can hold us down, can hold us down, can hold us down until we finally break above, retest, and then buy. Okay. So the buys are going to be the overall. I mean, why wouldn't we buy after the huge, huge candles that we've had across all the JPY? But I don't even have to tell you guys. Like that's what we're doing. We're buying. We're going to be buying a lot. The question is, are we buying at the right time and in the right place? So all of these are going to be buys. I'm probably not going to take a single one of them until we get proper market structure. Weekly, daily, 4 hour. Yeah, you can see we just broke underneath the 2 hour perfectly. I mean, if we're going to sell, we sell now, and then we take buys later. It's the same thing across all of these. Yeah, you can't even make that up. Okay. Do you guys have any questions? Anything that I missed or anything you guys want to go over? Um, in particular, while I go ahead and pick out my favorites for this week or for today. I'm not even going to worry about JPY today. I need more price action. CHF. Yeah, as soon as I'm done making a list for my pairs I'm interested in, I'm hopping off the call. So just go ahead and type any questions you might have. And if not, then that's perfectly fine with me. Okay, so I'm probably inclined to pick AUD CHF over NZD CHF. Okay, I'll take a look at those for you. So let's go over the CHF pairs really quickly out of the ones that we like and dislike. USD CHF. This one's an enemy of mine, but I will pick it for this week. Euro CHF. All three of these look really, really nice for this week. Um, we might sell immediately from where we are right now, or we might get like a doji and then we might sell afterwards, which I would prefer, honestly. Like we're at the area where we get nice little dojis. Imagine right here, bearish doji. Next day, we hop in on the wick of the next day, and then we just sell with price. So yeah, CHF pairs, very, very interested in those. Let's move these other CHF pairs down to here. These ones, they're nice. Why I didn't pick this one? We're at like a very low point in the market. There's no price at like, yes, you can sell from where we are. It's 100% possible, but your main profit target's going to have to be right here. Or if you're smart and you're like super cool and stuff, you could use these like you could just monitor multiple CHF pairs, like say this one right here, and use these profit targets as profit targets for the pairs that don't have a profit target. That makes sense. Why I didn't use GBP CHF? Because we're at the area of reversal. CAD CHF at the lowest point, NZD CHF at the lowest point. Okay. Here, I mean, it was similar. That's why I cut my profit short because we had previous structure right here. We had two of them. So this is why we closed at a 1 to 3.6. Could I have held? Still, I could have still been holding, but it doesn't always work out that way. Next, Euro CAD. Euro CAD. Okay. Weekly time frame, daily time frame. I do like this. I like this a lot over. Um, so we'll keep an eye on this one. I'm not sure. I don't think we're going to be able to catch this. I think it's just going to move too quickly for us, but I'm going to keep an eye on it. Here we go. Here we go. AUD USD probably going to be my top pair for the week. Gosh, my eyes are closing on me. I didn't sleep last night. That's why I'm so tired. Okay, so that's also why I'm not going to be trading today. Plus, the market's going to be super, super sloppy. Weekly time frame, pull back into this structure, NZD USD, AUD USD. I mean, where's CAD? Okay, so these four, they're all going to be very, very similar. We have to do our best to pick out the cleanest one. They're all really, really clean, but I think AUD USD takes the cake. I think it's the nicest one above the EMA, above the EMA, under the EMA. And this one's also very, very nice. Pretty clean. But I still prefer this one because of how close we are to that daily EMA. Now, that daily EMA could just take price and absolutely destroy it. Not destroy it, but drop it. As you can see here, when we were right underneath the EMA, just barely. As soon as we pulled back into it, price just, disappeared. Here, I mean, we're on top of the EMA. Here, we're very, very far away, and here we're very, very far away. So I'm going to pick this one as the first one to trade. GBP CAD. So we already went over this. We already AUD NZD. This one we have a lot of waiting to do. I'm going to keep watching that throughout the week. USD, GBP USD. These ones we still have to wait on. Euro USD or GBP USD. I think Euro USD would be the better option of the two, even though we're pretty far from the EMA. However, I do like the way that price does the same thing multiple times. And what I mean by that is it's come underneath this EMA. Not a good jar. Why did I do that? Under the EMA, under the EMA, and then it just pushed right up to the top. However, I don't know. I'll come back to these and throw them at the top for now. But you wanted me to go over those. Okay, so let's go over them really quickly. Weekly time frame bearish on GBP USD, weekly time frame bullish on Euro USD. Okay. Now they're both pretty bullish pairs. Now the reason that I think that they're going to buy is because here we retested previous structure and we also retested this EMA. Not retested it fully, but we are pretty close. Euro USD, Euro USD kind of does this sometimes where it is pushing up and then it sweeps underneath a few structures underneath the EMA and then it just continues to go up like nothing happened. Like right here, and then it just continues. Here, broke below, then we broke above, then we broke below. So I'm expecting the same thing to happen, but I would like more um, confirmation that we're not going to retest this EMA and then sell. Excuse me. Same thing here. We're still underneath the daily EMA. There's a chance that we push back into the structure and fill in this weekly wick. This weekly wick is a little concerning to me. So I'm probably not going to pick either of these pairs to trade. But if I was to trade either one of them, what I would look for also, another thing is, I just noticed there's a head and shoulders right here, right? So with that in mind, weekly time frame is bearish, daily time frame is bearish, head and shoulders. Sells are looking a little bit better than the buys at the moment. We are underneath the daily EMA, we are underneath the 4-hour EMA. We're retesting structures over here. So overall, I think that the sellers are going to be in control this week, but I'm not 100% sure that. No, no, no. I mean, it's my job to catch myself when I make this analysis. Like, I'm pretty sure that 90% of what I said is going to happen, but there is 10% that I either overlooked something or the markets were just like here. Here, if we're looking at like two time frames in sync, we're buying. We have the weekly, we have the daily, or sorry, we daily's bearish, so that's a little contradicting. But oh, would you look at that? And the 4 hours bearish. So we actually do have two time frames in sync to sell, and on this one we have two time frames in sync to sell as well. So yeah, I think I overlooked that. But the reason that I said bullish is because I was expecting this EMA here. But the very, very first thing that I said, and I kind of went back against myself, is this wick here just looks uncomfortable to me. I think it does need to get filled in. We might sell into this EMA, into this area of interest, and then we might see the buyers coming back in after that, but only once that happens. Yeah. So, I mean, my areas of interest can be adjusted and everything else can as well. I'm not going to put these on my list. I'm going to kind of keep an eye on them. I'm not even going to mark them up as buys or sells because I'm a little bit confused myself. Um, but yeah, let's continue. GBP CAD. I already picked Euro CAD. AUD NZD. We need a little bit more price action here. USD. Well, overall, yeah. So we need more price action there. USD CAD. Weekly's bullish. Daily's bullish. Price action is moving so weird right now. It's bullish, but it's weird. Daily pullback, weekly. I mean, what is there to say? We're bullish. 4-hour daily. I would just prefer to be at a better area for buys. But this is quite a nice pullback, I will say. It's very clean. We're at the EMA, so the EMA will help us. We're at the 1 hour, we're at the 2 hour, we're above the 4 hour, which is very, very important. Um, but yeah, if we get a bullish engulfing from here, like so, then we could probably take some nice buys. I'll keep an eye on this one. USD CAD is one that I like to trade. Um, but we'll see. We won't force anything. Weekly's bullish on this, daily bullish. We pulled back. Euro NZD, GBP NZD, definitely not this one. We're just so up and down here. Like it's incredible. But price does move pretty smooth when we're above the EMA. So I will keep an eye on, let's see. Hmm. Oh, that looks fantastic on the weekly. One looks really good on the daily, the other one looks really good on the weekly. Okay, we'll come back to those. AUD CAD, NZD CAD, NZD USD. Oh, we already went over those. Okay, so we already picked AUD USD out of all of those. Okay, so our list is basically come to conclusion except for these two. You know what? We'll pick both of them since we're not really working with too much right now. This is going to be the list that I kind of go off of. Not in any particular order just yet. Let's see. All right, let's just go over the 4 hour time frame then. So here we're basically at the area of interest to sell. Here we're at the area of interest to sell, at the area of interest to sell. And here we would need a shift underneath retest to sell. So these are kind of all in the right order. EuroCAD shifts to buy, shift above to buy, or USD CAD pull back to buy. We're at the area of interest to buy, and we're at the area of interest to buy. So the only two that we really need shifts above wow, my mouth's not working. We need a shift above the EMA and then a retest of the EMA to buy is USD CHF. So we need a shift underneath and then a retest to sell, and Euro CAD, where we need a shift above, retest, or just a break and retest above, if it's easier to say that. Euro CHF, we're kind of at the area of interest already. Just need lower time frame confirmations for basically every single one of these pairs here. Now, keep in mind, take everything I say with a grain of salt. These areas of interest are adjustable. Price might push into the EMA, or there's always that little bit of playroom that price might have. It might push a little lower and then still have the reaction to the upside. What time is it there? So it's 1 a.m. right now, or it's about to be 1 a.m. Eastern time. So the next 4 hour candle is going to open in 3 minutes. Yeah, so the next 4 hour candle is about to open. That means that we're going to close with little doji here. But it's not the doji that we need in order to buy. We usually need an engulfing candle because this doji, since it has a little wick to the downside, what it could do is we could open with a wick to the upside and then actually close with a bearish candle right here. And then in 4 more hours, we might get a candle that pushes down to here. And then we might get a candle that pushes up from here and engulfs to the upside. In fact, this is probably exactly what's going to happen. And then where we enter is we enter on the candle that pulls back right here and then pushes up from here, has a continuation to the upside. Okay, so you can see how that kind of sets itself up like so. Okay. Obviously, the market's not going to do what I ask it to do, but I want you guys to visualize how this might play out. Okay. Um, that is basically it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for joining. I'll give you guys like 30 more seconds to ask any more questions. Um, and then that's it. I will do another one of these in a couple more hours. What time? Around 7 p.m. my time, so noon Eastern time. So that's in 11 hours. If I manage to stay awake until then, which I will, I'll be awake and then. I'm doing both. I'm doing both. I have a prop firm and I have a live account. I have two prop firm accounts. But I'm working on a challenge right now. And I want to do a live challenge with you guys as well. But what I'm working on is working on what prop firms do you go through? Funding pips right now. So I'm trying to max my allocation for them. But I also, 'cause I was using a different prop firm, but I guess they were super sketchy. So I lost my account with them and I switched over to Funding Pips, which I stopped using for a while because they stopped they stopped doing Trade Locker, and then MetaTrader 5 is not allowed for the United States. And I refused to use Match Trader. And eventually I just came around to do it. And I love the platform. It's not bad at all. I was just really stubborn. Um, but yeah, anyways, that's basically it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later on. Do I use Hero FX? Do I use Hero FX? I think so. I was using KOT Forex, but um, not right now. They actually closed down, which is super surprising. I've been using them for so long. I think my accounts with I just switched over to them, so I have no clue. It's either that, plus I'm super tired. It's either that or it's Blue Markets, which I don't think it's Blue Markets. It's probably Hero. I'll let you know for sure. Actually, let me stop sharing. Let me just check. Also, let me just stop recording.